Today, Bitcoin pulls back after breaking above $31,000 on Friday, the highest level in more than a year. Belgium's top markets regulator orders Binance to stop offering crypto services. And Alex Adelman, the CEO of Bitcoin rewards app Lolli, breaks down the impact of BlackRock filing for a spot Bitcoin ETF. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Pippa Stevens. The price of Bitcoin retreated slightly to start the week, but as of noon Eastern, Bitcoin still traded above $30,000 after crossing the $31,000 mark on Friday, the highest level in more than a year. Ether, however, still traded close to $1,900. Investors attributed Bitcoin's jump to last week's news that BlackRock had filed for a spot Bitcoin ETF. Bitcoin's price has risen more than 12% since the beginning of June. Some analysts say that large purchases by so-called Bitcoin whales, while liquidity remains low, is another factor contributing to Bitcoin's rise. According to Coinmetrics, Bitcoin is up about 85% in the first half of this year, on pace for the best first half since 2019, when the digital currency gained more than 200%. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. Adding to pressure on Binance, Belgium's top markets regulator ordered the crypto exchange to immediately stop offering digital asset services in the country. In this notice issued by the Financial Services and Markets Authority, the agency said Binance is, quote, offering and providing exchange services in Belgium between virtual currencies and legal currencies, as well as custody wallet services from countries that are not members of the European Economic Area, which the regulator says is in violation of a prohibition. Now, we reached out to Binance for comment, and a spokesperson told us the crypto company will continue to work with regulators in Belgium and around the world in compliance with the firm's obligations. Binance is in the regulatory hot seat as it takes on allegations by the SEC that it violated U.S. securities laws. It was also recently revealed that Binance is the subject of an investigation by French authorities. On top of that, the crypto exchange has also pulled out of markets, including the Netherlands and Cyprus, over regulatory issues. Last, Japan's National Tax Agency has clarified that crypto issuers will not have to pay capital gains taxes on unrealized gains. That's according to CoinDesk, which cited a notice from last week. The news outlet pointed out that the partial revision is a change from an earlier requirement that subjected token issuers to a capital gains tax of around 35% on their own tokens, as well as on unrealized gains. In an effort to encourage crypto startups to stay in the country, Japan has been reviewing its tax treatment of digital assets since at least last year. Now, CoinDesk added that prior heavy tax burdens seem to have led to an exodus of crypto firms. In December, the country's ruling Liberal Democratic Party Tax Committee reportedly approved a proposal to exempt crypto startups that issue their own tokens from paying corporate taxes on unrealized gains. All right, back to Bitcoin for our main story. Crypto World's Snea McKeel spoke with Alex Adelman, the CEO of Bitcoin rewards app Lolli, about what he believes is next for the world's top digital currency after BlackRock filed for a spot Bitcoin ETF earlier this month.
It's been a couple of years, I think, since you and I spoke, and we've talked a lot in the past about Bitcoin as an alternative currency and all of the other narratives that have been debated over the years. And just it seems like the landscape has changed so much since we last spoke, which was just a couple of years ago. What is your approach to Bitcoin right now? Are you still seeing it as an alternative medium of exchange?
Well, I've always looked at it being a medium of exchange for those who Bitcoin is less volatile than their native currency. Anyone can move money, large amounts of money with Bitcoin. Unlike most currencies, you can move billions of dollars at a time. So it's always had that functionality. But I think when a lot of people think about this like medium of exchange, they think going it to their local coffee shop and buying a coffee. And I think we're not really there yet in the cycle. And it totally makes sense. Like, why would I spend my Bitcoin that continues to go up over time? Why would I spend it on coffee? I would, be subject to taxes. The fees are still high on Bitcoin Core. And so things like Lightning that are coming out, and as a lot of currencies start to go into inflationary times or hyperinflationary times, unfortunately, Bitcoin proves its value to be better than most fiat native currencies.
Do you think we'll ever be at that point in the cycle here in the US?
I think it is a little bit worrisome to think about, but the way I've always looked at it is on a volatility index. When I first got into Bitcoin, Bitcoin was, I believe it was like the 100th most volatile currency if you looked at it stacked up to all the different fiat currencies. It's now, I think it's like 25th or 20th, last I checked, on the volatility index. And so as Bitcoin continues to become like less and less volatile, it becomes a better currency than people's native currency. So clearly the US is the most powerful currency in the world, and controls a lot of the world's financial transactions, and has incredible power in the global economy. I think we are ways away from it being a more of a stable currency. And I think as more and more countries adopt it, more and more individuals adopt it, more importantly, I think it does become, it clearly goes up in value the more demand that there is for it.
What about the institutions? We're obviously seeing this big institutionalization of Bitcoin right now. What do you make of it? And if I could have you mention specifically the move by BlackRock a couple weeks ago, I think week before last now, filing for a Bitcoin ETF. Obviously, big news for the perception of the legitimacy of crypto for those who, are still trying to warm to it. But with regards to the institutions coming, and BlackRock specifically being the largest asset manager in the world, what do you make of it? And perception aside, why does a move like that really matter for Bitcoin? How does it really impact this market or this community?
Great question. So I've always looked at institutionals being incredible bull signals. It opens Bitcoin up and normalizes Bitcoin for professional investors, and pensions and institutions, and so the more financial products that are around Bitcoin, the better, in my opinion. And that can be a controversial opinion. A lot of people want Bitcoin in the hands of individuals, and they want it to be, people have private keys. But the reality of it is that Bitcoin can and should be used by anybody. And the fact that people are building financial products on top of it is net good for adoption of it. I think the best way to own Bitcoin is to have private, to manage your own private keys. But the next best way is to have it, under some sort of financial institution, and that is good for adoption. So yeah, BlackRock, largest asset manager in the world, $10 trillion of assets under management, like unbelievable amount. Wisdom Tree, Invesco, Valkyrie, all filed, I believe, last week of the last 2 weeks. And so when BlackRock does something, I mean, they're the biggest. Like, everybody's going to go do something. So I actually think BlackRock was kind of a little bit late to the game. But yeah, another great index was just looking at biggest assets managers in the world, and are they touching Bitcoin? Are they touching crypto? So they're all taking very aggressive Bitcoin stances, and moves. We're going to probably see a lot of Bitcoin spot ETFs, and then as we all know, the first leverage Bitcoin ETF just got passed as well, by volatility shares.
Yeah, and the Bitcoin price up 17% just last week. So really reflecting a lot of that enthusiasm that you just recapped for us. I do want to highlight in the past 2 weeks, though, Bitcoin's trading volume, and we know that volume and liquidity have been big issues for Bitcoin this year. So in the last 2 weeks, volume has increased just 0.5%, and that's on a week over week basis. So it seems like Bitcoin hasn't exactly attracted as many new investors or brought much new money into the crypto market, even throughout this big price rally. And at Lolli, you are very much dedicated to adoption and getting Bitcoin into the hands of new participants, and I think people in general. So, what is it that you think would bring more people into the market at a time like this?
Price action is, in my entire time in the Bitcoin space, and then while building Lolli over the last 5 years, the unfortunate answer is price action. I wish people uh, sought to learn about it, and were inspired by it being just this incredible digital um, decentralized currency, and all the fundamentals of it, that make it so digitally sound and decentralized. I think are pretty incredible. But the reality is that people are attracted to price. So Bitcoin did has like slowly gone up from um, low 20s to 30, but it's really not enough, I think, for people to really get excited. And also consumer credit's through the roof. I think people all across the world, not just the US, are in this sort of borderline recessionary time, or we may be in the start of a recession. And so I think people are trying to be more conservative with their not their spending, and then also their investments. And I think everyone saw Bitcoin go up to 69 and then drop back down. And so I think people are sort of waiting to see what it does from here. The reality is that the institutions are going to have the most to gain. And there's been seeing what JP Morgan has done over the years, of just the FUD that they've put out about how Bitcoin is for money laundering, and the same old FUD that has been put out for 10 years now, is just rampant. Meanwhile, them and other financial institutions are all making these like massive moves into the space. So I think everyone wants to buy low, and I think the institutions are going to have a lot to gain from getting into it at this, like, what I think is a depressed price. I think what is going to drive consumers is price action. When we start to break through 35, 40, when there starts to be when these ETFs are actually passed and not just proposed. I think that's what's going to get a lot of consumers really excited and more people into the space.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World today, but we are back again tomorrow, and we'll see you then.